Just want to make room for the guests that are still entering the classroom.
Okay.
So somewhere a little bit past the center is good. Come on in, watch your step, pick a row, grab a sheet of paper, go a little bit past the center of the class. Just making room for the guests that are still entering the classroom. So somewhere like here is good. Watch your step as you go down those stairs. All of the rows have paper at the entrances. You don't have to stop at the top 10. People tend to do that, but there's lots of space towards the first 5 rows. You're welcome to come on down this way. Avoid a traffic jam. Grab a sheet of paper at the entrance of any row. Just count into an available board and we'll get started in just a few moments. Don't forget to grab paper at the entrance of your row. And there's lots of space in the first 3 rows as well if you want to come on down this way. Watch your step. Grab a sheet of paper. Don't forget to grab paper at the entrance of your row. All right. So how y'all doing today? Good, great. Well, welcome to the Animation Academy. My name is Natasha. I'm a Disney artist here. Up at the top of the stairs, you have Gio. He's an artist as well. And he's actually standing right where you need to exit at any point in time. That's going to be your exit doors at the end of the class, any point in time like churro calling, a phone call, anything like that. Give any one of those a great big push. I don't know why he likes to push them all open. Oh, you forgot one today. That's good. But Gio's here to help you out. If your pencil breaks, you missed a step, like I said, you have a question, just raise your hand. He'll come around to help you out. Just make sure we see you before you put your hand down. Is this anybody's first time at the Animation Academy? You got dragged in here? Okay, a lot of you. Great. Okay, so if you've never been here before, this is a rough sketch class. I'm going to teach you how to draw a portrait of one of our Fab Five. This one is Goofy. So he's very similar to Pluto. They're both dogs, just, you know, they do different things. Like one drives a car, one uses chipmunks. So they're just different types of Disney dogs. So they have similar construction lines and design, but for Goofy, his muzzle is pushed upwards where Pluto's is pulled down. So we're going to start off with a circle about the size of a baseball or an orange. If you use your whole arm, it kind of naturally does that circular motion, but it doesn't need to be perfect for 2 reasons. One, we want this to look like a lot of pre-production artwork. So storyboard, even concept art, a lot of the stuff that we have in our building. And you don't have erasers on your pencils, so that's another reason too. It's definitely on purpose. But the weirder this guy looks, the more goofy he is, so you can't really go wrong with him. So I'm going to start off with that circle, leaving space below. I don't need too much above, so I'm going to add in a whole bunch of small circles about the size of my baseball. I'm going to use a couple curves from side to side, kind of building up my shape. So don't freak out if you don't have a perfect circle or it doesn't look like your neighbor's or mine. It's totally fine because his head isn't a perfect circle at all. Now I definitely want to give him some guidelines since he's going to be facing us. I'm going to cut my circle right through the center. And this line's going to go about the same length past it, so it should look kind of like a lollipop. And then his eye line, if you just carve off the edge a little ways above the edge of your circle, I'm just going to move a little ways up and add in a line from side to side, and that gives me the eye line. Now imagine your circle being squashed into an oval, and that's what I'm going to use to create his muzzle. So I'm going to add in a whole bunch of curves just right where my guideline is, a little bit past the edges of my circle. And then I can turn that upside down. So I'm building up this large grape shape. If you think of like Mickey pressing his nose up against a window, that's basically what we're going for. It's a large oval or grape shape. And you can add in as many of these as you want. It doesn't need to be perfect. So you have a squash circle, large oval, and a circle there. And that's all that we need to start building our Goofy. So for Goofy, that oval that you just created, we'll add in another one. This one's going to sit right where the oval and the circle are kind of overlapping. That's where his nose is going to be. So I'm going to, again, start off adding in a whole bunch of those grape shapes or ovals. He's got a large nose. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and do my cleanup work. So I'm just going to pull forward the lines that I really like the best. I can adjust his nose. So if something got a little weird, I can always go back and change that up. But I definitely want his nose to come out towards us. I don't want him to look like he ran into a wall. So I'm going to add in 2 hills right above this. And that's going to pull that nose out towards us and give him some depth to that. So I'll add in a rainbow right above that. And then one more right above that. actually about the width of my circle there. Now, of course, for Goofy, he's usually a pretty happy guy unless it's like those how-to cartoons where he like freaks out. There's like one where he's got road rage, which is like my favorite one. But we want to give him a smile like we see him in our parks. He has a really nice big smile. So we're going to start with the cheek lines. Just take letter U shapes, turn them upside down. So I'm going to go right over here to the edge of his cheek line, or the muzzle line here. I'm going to add in an upside down letter U shape that kind of carves off the edge of my circle, drops onto the edge of my favorite oval. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. So up and over, little letter U shapes. On the inside of this, I'm going to create a kind of a squashed letter T, because you want to see that his cheek is being pushed up because of his smile. So just underneath that letter U shape, I'll add in that same hill again, and then drop a line from the center of that onto my oval line. So you can see his mouth line now, and this crease of his cheek. That's all that you need to do is try your best. Because this guy is weird, so he's going to come out awesome no matter what. Now, of course, we're not going to go all the way around and darken in the lines underneath his nose, because he's a dog, so he's going to have a little bit of a divot underneath his nose. So just about halfway between the edge of my oval and my favorite line for his nose, I'll just put a little dot there. And then from those letter T's, I'm going to start to go around and darken in the lines of this oval that I really want to keep. As I go towards the center, I'm going to lift this line up towards the dot. And that's going to create that separation in his muzzle. I'll do the same thing on this side. Originally, he wasn't even intended to be a character that had his own shorts or series. And he was in a background as an audience member in a short called Mickey's Review. And he laughed so funny that they realized that maybe something could be done with him. So they started doing some cartoons with him. They changed his name. First it was Dippy Dog to like George Geef and George Goof, and then the Goof, and he's had a lot of different names. And especially in the how-to cartoons, they always change his names. A lot of the times it's George. But he's got buck teeth. He's got this really huge overbite, and his teeth look like little marshmallows just sticking out underneath this. They're about as wide as his cheek lines. So what I usually do is I just guesstimate a width there. It's like kind of the inside and the edge of his cheek. And I'll connect these two little lines with the letter U shape. So just think of a little marshmallow that's a rounded, blocky type of shape. And again, even if one side is a little off, or maybe one tooth is a little bigger or crooked, his teeth and the way he looks changes a lot. Like when he first started off, he didn't really wear pants. He just had a vest. And then he became a father and he had to get a job and wear pants. And then now when you see him on the Disney Channel, they got the Disney shorts and he lost his pants again. He's really unshaven. So if you want to give him more of a vintage look, you can add in these little whisker dots, a couple of little flicks of the pencil off the muzzle, and that'll give him that little unkempt look. But my favorite thing about him is his overbite, in that his bottom lip gets tucked behind his teeth. He's got this really long jawline. So what I need is a stretched out letter U shape to go from the center of each tooth and kind of a U-turn back and forth to create this. So I'm going to start off super lightly. If you want to extend your center line like me, you can definitely do that. But I'm going to pull a curve towards my center line from the center of each tooth. I'll do the same thing on this side. So you're going to get that overbite type of look. Now connect these together. You can extend this out, darken that in, but you can also give him a bottom lip line, which is just a letter U shape that's stretched out between the teeth. And that's going to show that the bottom lip is tucked behind his teeth. Stretched out letter U shape right over there. All right, so at this point, you are about halfway done. Just got the bottom half of him. How you all doing? Good. A lot of kids are like, good. Adults are like, it's fine, it's fine. Okay, well, let's do this. Let's wake him up. Now, his eyes, a lot of the times there's no separation, so that way if he's like falling off the cliff or getting electrocuted, you're gonna see the pupils bounce everywhere. So we need a really tall letter V. It's gonna look kind of like we got a letter V and stretched it up and out to create that pinnacle or that little peak between his eyes. So I'm just going to go about a quarter of the way down. You can put a little dot there if you want on your line. But I'm going to take this stretched out letter V. Even if it goes past the edge of my circle, it's fine. So that's the center of the eyes. He's got a character mask, just a letter M instead of a heart like Mickey. Then where his cheek lines are, right in this corner, I'm going to stretch up this parentheses type of curve. So it's just going up and sitting alongside that letter V. So there's just a little bit of space between the two. Again, it doesn't matter if one is higher than the other. This guy is off, so things get a little off with him, it's fine. Now I'm just going to add in some hills or archways between the letter V and the edge of each eye. And that's going to close it off on the top to create that stretched out letter M shape. Now these arches are the same types of things that we need to create his eyebrows, because right now he just looks like he got off the Haunted Mansion, or like his mission breakout did not go successfully.
Yeah.
So we want to create his eyebrows. Same types of curves as his eyes. Start from the center line here. And just recreate these curves. The higher you make them, the more excited he looks. The newer shorts, he's not as fatherly because they don't really mention Max. And he's very much more off than he has been in the past, like couple of years or so. So nowadays, he falls in love with things like sandwiches, marries it, and then eats it. There was an episode where he really wanted to go to Potato Land, and it was just Idaho. He didn't know that. He got passed out because he hit his head on the board of Idaho, and Mickey and Donald made him Disneyland, basically, just out of potatoes and gravy. So there was like a Haunted Mansion with potatoes just dangling from the ceiling, and Abraham Lincoln potato, which was pretty awesome as well. To close off the sides of his head, I'm just going to darken in the curves of my circle behind the eyebrow to the cheek line. And to wake him up, we can add in anything that you want. Hearts, stars, dollar signs. You can have him looking in any direction. I'm just going to have him looking out at all of you. So just right next to my guideline, I'll give it a little bit of space. I'll add in a jelly bean shape. It's basically a small version of his nose. But this should be the darkest portion of your drawing. So I'm going to outline these. And then I'm going to shade these in. You really want that to stand out the most. I think the most funny thing is he's got like the best Disney movie ever with a really good soundtrack. But in that film, he and Max are playing 20 questions on the freeway, and like Donald and Mickey are like hitchhiking on the freeway. But 20 questions, he's always thinking of the same thing. Does anybody know what that is? No, it's Walt Disney. Yeah, so he's like, I'm thinking of a man. He's like, Walt Disney. I'm thinking of a man. It's Walt Disney. And after that, it's Walt Disney. So they kind of break that fourth wall, which is kind of cool. All right, so what does this guy need?
Ears.
His ears, yeah, they're really long and dangly. Think of like a teardrop or like a necktie. You can have them going in any direction. But he's got this little piece of skin off the side of his head. It's like a little letter C shape on either side. And for me, I like to have his ears turn into this like piece of spaghetti or like a really floppy letter J. So this is where my ear for him is going to go. But this is totally up to you. I'm just going to have this floppy letter J here. And what I want to do is, since this is the thickest part, the letter J at the bottom, I'm going to recreate the lines, but I'm going to just keep getting closer and closer until I reach the side of his head. So you can have his ears going in any direction that you want. You can turn your board from side to side to get closer to your lines. So I'm going to add in my next letter J over here. Now he does wear a lot of hats. And here at the dot, somewhere on your paper, and sign your name. All right, so as you're getting in your final features, how did we do? Good. Okay, well, let's do this. Let's have an art show. Even if you're not done yet, on the count of 3, we'll have you turn over your boards, take a look around. Everyone is different style. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Goofy. Very nice over here. Great job, ladies. Really nice over here as well. Great job in the front. Oh, like the hat. Very nice with the extra credit over here. I like how he's looking off to the side. Like, what did you say? Really great job back here as well.